Now, apparently, Just Dance Pants has a message for Elon Musk. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show, etc.
Mr. Vice President, thank you for having us here today.
Good to see you.
So you had quite
It's good to be had.
eventful morning
We did.
over at Union Station, as we saw in that clip. Tell
Oh, yeah, this is after he went over there and was, asked if Trump taps him on the top of the head when he's ready to swallow or whatever.
us about how you decided to go over there. You know, a lot of us D.C. residents.
Well, you don't actually think he has anything to actually do you? For real. Sorry. Laura Ingraham, explain to me what you fucking think this asshole does all day. Like, the vice presidential spot is always a bit of a figure-based spot anyways. You don't have any legal authority. You can't sign bills or do any of that stuff. So you're kind of a placeholder in case the guy in the front of the line kicks off. But you can be assigned certain jobs and that kind of thing. But he hasn't been entrusted with anything. Say what you will about the successes or failures of previous vice presidents when they've been assigned things. But this dickhead is just dangling.
D.C. residents know it well, but it's been the site of a lot of crime in recent years.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
And you decided
Have you seen the price of milkshakes at Shake Shack?
to pay a visit. What happened?
Well, so a couple things. So first of all, I had heard from a couple of friends who used to avoid Union Station because there were vagrants and there were crazy people screaming at kids that they
They thought I would fit right in. So I decided to go over there
avoided Union Station.
and fuck a couch. Yeah. And they played over the loudspeakers.
Couch humping, jumping, feel the beat, take it higher, can't retreat, feel the rhythm, can't deny, couch humping, reach the sky.
Sorry. Anyways, I beg your pardon. I get caught up. You get excited and you want to have a good time.
But over the past 9 days, since the president did this emergency order, it
What the fuck is you? What do they present you with, the honorary box of protein bars from the National Guard?
looks a lot better. It feels a lot safer. So I was talking with Stephen Miller and with Pete Hegseth about this in the Oval Office yesterday. And I was
Sorry, it looks a lot better and feels a lot safer since the last time you never went.
we should just go over there and say hello to people. And
Yeah, and I was like, what a dude, how do you come up with this shit? Bro, way to like somebody's vice president, ding ding. Like, buddy, that's so amazing. Like, we're sitting here with our thumbs up our ass, just thinking racist thoughts, and you're like, dude, let's take this on the road. All right. Jesus.
we've got a lot of National Guardsmen over there, some DC who have been heckled by some of the protesters.
Some of them were even attacked on January 6th. Did you ask them about it? Fuck you.
So I thought, what a good show of moral support to have the vice president and some of the senior team at the White House show up. We bought him some burgers, hang out with him a little bit. And actually, the most interesting thing, Laura, was
Sorry, you met with them in an enclosed room at a train station with boxes of fast food. Dude, if you have to fart, just go outside.
after the cameras left, Pete and Steve and I stayed and, had lunch with these troops.
Oh my God. The sacrifice. That's what I really appreciate. Thank you. Thank you, sir. You actually? Did he say actually? Please tell me I'm not. Hold on. Back the fuck up. What was that again?
Left. Pete and Steve and I stayed and, had lunch with these troops and just
Okay. And
learned a lot about what they're seeing, about how much the city has changed in just the past 9 days. So
Right. We haven't seen any crime. It's the crime has gone down immensely. How do you know? Well, we haven't seen any. I mean, there was a car wreck not far from here. That was crazy. Of course, it was one of our vehicles hitting a civilian. But
crazy statistic, violent crime has dropped in D.C. 35% in 9 days.
okay. So they just took the day off? You do realize the violent crime happens and then you arrest people. So I guess what you're saying is that you're scaring them into not attacking people. That's the idea, that they're not attacking people in the train station because there's too many soldiers walking around. Is that theory?
In D.C. have dropped 55% in 9 days, and it highlights.
Yeah, I completely trust these statistics.
The fact that
Sorry, week on fucking week?
this living with lawlessness and disorder, that's fundamentally a question of political will. If you've got the political will to enforce the law, you can make even cities like D.C. safe again, and that's.
Hey, wait till we get rid of that rapist buddy of yours. If there was will out there, we could, impeach this motherfucker and have him actually removed from office for the shit he's done. Law and order.
We're demonstrating.
Gung gung.
And I hope that the American people take an important lesson from this, because obviously D.C. is a federal city, New York, L.A., these places are not. I hope the American people just recognize that you don't have to live with lawlessness. You don't have to live with third world murder rates if you just take control.
Yeah, hear that, Bakersfield? Talking to you, Texas. Mississippi, get your shit together.
These cities, you can make them safe places to live in.
So your pal Gavin Newsom calls this an abuse of power, that this is just a power grab, and this is all stunt for show, and that you all are going to roll through other cities. You've heard.
Well, excuse me, the percentages over 9 days different than percentages from before 9 days, obviously going to hold and are real, and numbers. So,
Things about,
sure is handsome, though.
martial law is going to be declared.
Yep.
And to that, you say?
Well, first of all, how is it a power grab, or how is it a stunt when we've already declined murders by 35% in 9 days?
You haven't. You fucking haven't. You have not. You haven't declined it by 35% in 9 days. There's like no way to parse that out. There are bodies you haven't even fucking found yet in that time cycle, you fucking idiot. In a metropolitan area with that size and that many woods around them? Jesus Christ. Do you watch any 48 Hours? Have you ever seen an episode of Dateline?
How many people are living and breathing today because Donald Trump had the willpower to say, you know what, we're sick of D.C. being a home to lawlessness. We're going to bring some public order back to the nation's capital. So what?
Sorry, were Trump fans being particularly targeted, or did you just only start giving a shit because Big Balls got attacked?
Say to Gavin Newsom or to anybody else in some of these big blue states or big blue cities is,
oh, you mean the ones that make all the money and pay all the taxes so that the red states can live on them like a fucking suckling pig?
you can have law and order, you can have common decency, you can have public spaces that young families can go to again. I'll tell you a story, Laura. A couple of years ago, the last time I was in Union Station, I took...
The last time he was in Union Station. Obviously, the bathroom.
Little kids there to get lunch, and they were being screamed at by homeless people, not compassionate to the homeless people to let them just fester when they clearly have mental health problems.
What does this have to do with, is there a 35% decline in festering?
Compassionate to young families to not be able to go into one of America's great public spaces.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Where is your compassion for the people in there and why, that are just trying to catch a train or eat in a train station when you aren't going anywhere? What the fuck? But where's your compassion for people who are doing that thing that nobody does? And why do you give all this compassion to the mentally ill and the poor? It's just gross. I blame Christianity.
Without being screamed at by a person clearly suffering
Why are
from a
Democrats
mental
doing
illness.
this?
I don't know.
Why is this
I
a
don't
political
know.
strategy? For
Laura,
We want to actually help with homelessness. Harris was going to build 3 million homes. They were going to do grant programs with blue cities, the ones you're talking about, including the DC and Baltimore areas, to deal with their homeless problem. to build like mid-level apartment blocks so that people that should be living in mid-level apartment blocks can only afford to live in the like decrepit areas, and so they eat up those units, which should be going to people who have barely any money. The people who are in the middle should be able to afford something better, so you build more of the better ones because the middle class is the biggest actual group in the country. You build for them, and then the things that they can pass on or the things that are out of their reach go to the other groups. That's how you do it. You don't build like a quote unquote affordable housing. That's why they call it affordable housing. It's why they don't call it like, you know, tenements or on purpose or those kind of things. But that's how Trump and his clan think of it.
Thought about this so often and so many times.
I don't know why Dems love public disorder. Really? You don't? I mean, it's so exciting for one. I mean, I think most of us, I think we like to have, get together with some of our friends and have soup.
And they start throwing it at our cops, at our police.
Person, woman.
And when they get caught, they say, no, this is just soup for my family. Big bags of soup. And they lay it on the ground, and the anarchists take it, and they start throwing it at our cops, at our police.
Yeah, it's not that we like public disorder. It's that we love a good bowl of soup. Who doesn't? Especially at the artist formerly known as Cracker Barrel.
Don't know why Democrats seem to love public disorder and chaos.
Well, chaos is different. I mean, it's a real party atmosphere, I like to think.
Almost as a political ideology, and I think
it's weird. Good. Okay. Can I just add something to that? I don't understand why you like the illusion of dignified wealth as a veneer for pedophilia and child sex trafficking. I mean, obviously, we're talking about, you know, a regular order chaos is the lesser of two evils. I think we can both agree that of the two evils, yours is significantly more evil.
part of what's going on is Democrats have gotten so divorced from the communities that they allegedly serve that they don't realize the gross majority of residents in D.C., they want to walk through Union Station and just have a bite to eat or enjoy the space with their families.
No, they don't. The vast majority of people want to catch their fucking train. They want to get home or get to work. It's not a fucking shopping mall, you weirdo. It's a train station. It's a transit center. That's like saying the vast majority of people in Indianapolis want to go down to the Greyhound station, get a snow cone, and hang around without being bothered by people who smell like they've been on a bus for 3 days.
Don't realize that so many people have been absolutely terrorized by Democrat crime policies, and so maybe they just don't make the connection between what Gavin Newsom says and the fact that places like D.C. or Los Angeles have some of the highest murder rates in the world.
And the
No, they don't. No, they do not. No. Just because you track, look, we track our murder rate in this country. I know the Trump wants to get rid of it. You know, they don't want to track like gun deaths and those kind of things so that we can build a statistical analysis of where gun deaths occur the most and whether the guns that do them are registered or unregistered, legally purchased or straw purchased, who they belong to in the first place. I know they don't want to do that and look into that, but we do have a pretty good register of how many dead people we have in the country. It's one of the reasons why we have such a great true crime podcast and infotainment world around that, is because we got details. We can work with details. Can I, real quick, let's step aside for a second, because this happens a bunch, ladies and gentlemen. Chat room. Let me, let's go to, let me show you something. This is, there you go. I'll go this guy, quit, go away, quit, close. Gotta show this, okay. Minus, there we go. And then let's see. Okay. Allow. Okay, here you go. Real quick. This is one of the reasons. Look, I know there's a value in knowing the crimes that are happening in your community. You want to be aware of the warts and warts in all aspects of your society. But you can't think that you're all warts because you're the only person paying attention to the warts at all. Okay, so let me introduce you to this dude, Mikhail Popkov, which sounds like a fun name. It's not. Mikhail Popkov is a Russian serial killer, and he was convicted in Siberia of raping and killing 56 women. If you'll notice in the story, why is this a story? Convicted of 56 more murders. In 2015, he was sentenced to life for 22 murders. All the killings were committed between 1992 and 2010. There is no doubt that Popkov committed these murders. He clearly showed the places where the bodies were buried, and by an earring, tattoo, or some other feature described the murders and victims in detail. They called him the Angarsk Maniac. Aren't serial killers a wholly American thing? Kids, we have one of the biggest serial killers in the world, but the one with the highest number, I believe, is from Mexico. And then this dude is bringing up the rear and he's got a bunch of fucking company. And on top of that, should we look at China? A surge in mass attacks has killed dozens in China in recent months. These are attacks on society where drivers are mowing down people on foot, or knife-wielding assailants are stabbing multiple victims. Because there aren't guns, they stab people. Victims are strangers most of the time. November 19th, a vehicle hit students at a primary school gate. Small SUV. Injuries were not life-threatening. That's a Chinese lie, but whatever. We'll deal with that later. A string of deadly attacks by seemingly ordinary people is rocking China. November 16th, stabbing kills 8 at a vocational school. Driver kills 35 at a sports complex. This dude drove around the building, knocking. People used to jog around this building because there's like a big path. When you walk up to the place, it's a big circle. So they would just jog in a circle around it. And he just got on there and just drove around, ran over everybody. Police detained the 62-year-old man who had done it, who they said was in his car, attempting to stab himself with a knife. 5 injured in a knife attack near a primary school. They do this a lot of kids' schools. Knife attack kills 3 at a supermarket. This happens all the fucking time. A year of mass attacks reveals anger and frustration in China. That's what it's about. It's about you driving around with too many bird cages on your bicycle can drive you to, I don't know why this guy's catching shit. What is driving people to murder strangers en masse? It's a question many in China are asking. Not this guy. He's just like, I'm getting my birds and getting the fuck out of here. Chinese people are so miserable. Read a social media post in the wake of yet another mass killing. There will be more and more copycat attacks. This year has been especially 2019 to 2023 in China. Police recorded 3 to 5 cases each year where perpetrators attack pedestrians or strangers. In 2024, that number jumped to 19. In 2019, 3 people were killed and 28 injured in such incidents. In 2023, 16 dead and 40 injured. In 2024, 63 people were killed, 166 injured. November was especially bloody. On the 11th of that month, a 60-year-old man plowed a car. That was the guy I was telling you about. People exercising outside a stadium in Zhuhai. He was sentenced to death this week. Days later in Chengde City, a man drove into a crowd of children and parents outside a primary school, injuring 30 of them. The same week, a 21-year-old who couldn't graduate after failing his exams went on a stabbing rampage on his campus, killing 8 and injuring 17. In September, a 37-year-old man raced through Shanghai shopping centers, stabbing people as he went. In June, 4 American instructors were attacked at a park by a 55-year-old man wielding a knife, and there were 2 separate knife attacks on Japanese citizens, including one which a 10-year-old boy was stabbed to death outside of his school. What's the problem? China's slowing economy. No. It's the absolute wretched way that the Chinese government has gutted the society. There's no reason to live. There's no impetus to carry on. And then it gets hard. That's what does it. People can carry on through some fucked up shit and not do that. But if you ask JD Vance, he'll tell you Russia's safer than America is. China, you can go anywhere and there's no crime. Bullshit. Same thing with the Middle East. They're like, it's so much safer there. Well, you don't come up with we've got to kill anybody who attacks someone else if it never happens. If something was rare like that, you go like, we had this guy murdering people. We put him in a cage and we're just asking him all kinds of questions. But if it happens every fucking day and you have nowhere to house them, that's when you start chopping their heads off. It's fucking childish. And I gotta say, China's have no voting and no democracy. Exactly. It's safer for him because he's rich. Yeah, which is also why I call bullshit on that they went there for lunch. Yeah, Russia is totally violent. I studied, you guys, many of you know, I studied like Russian Spetsnaz bodyguard techniques with a guy named Vladimir Vasilyev in Toronto. And they would do, I was doing Queer as Folk at the time, and they would do this like group fighting thing, like how to fight 12 people at once. And it was awesome, but there were so many like flying fists and kicking and stuff, and it was so random that there was no way to the production would allow me to spar and do stuff, because if I got bruises on my arms and stuff, they could cover it with makeup, but they were worried I would get hit in the face and shut down production, so they made really strict rules, and I was like, fuck it, I want to do the 8-on-12, 4-on-16 fighting, but they wouldn't let me. But anyways, that they do that because it's normal. When's the last time, I mean, even in a situation where you're like, football teams fucking up a city, they'll burn cars and turn shit over, but there's very little person-to-person violence. These folks, it's not even over a soccer game or anything. They just show up in the middle of fucking town and kick the shit out of each other. Hold on. Let's see this. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah. Here you go. Why? Who the fuck needs a ball? Ladies and gentlemen, I give you 1,200 Russians. Yellow shirts against the whoever the fuck else's. Just a big fucking fight. Slow-mo now. Look at the dude just got somebody on the ground and just whacking on him. Look at it, getting the boot in. Why does this slow down? Play the whole fucking thing. Let him run. There you go. Just a big fist fight. And that's the one where they wear gloves. Holy shit. Here, let me show you this is... There's so many. I can. Hold on. Russian group fighting in cities. Because of the war, a lot of these videos get like pushed down into, you know. Let's see, Russia's. Fuck, I'll have to dig forever to find those old ones. Point being, you guys get it. Like, when's the last time you heard of a bunch of fucking Americans getting out in a goddamn field and wearing different color shirts just to beat the fuck out of each other? No boxing, no MMA, no fucking getting together in a goddamn octagon. Welcome to You've Never Been Anywhere and You Don't Know How Anything Works. That's right.
That's not how it works.
All right, so what was he saying? This dipshit.
Police are being investigated for potentially manipulating their crime data. I've heard this from other police forces across the country. Great cops, beat cops in places like Chicago have said, oh, some of the crimes are reclassified to make a burglary something that's more of a disturbance, and that kind of stuff happens. But is this a federal issue at this point, if this is a manipulation of data, and if
they're putting the vice president on it, no.
Widespread?
Well, it's certainly something that's being investigated, and I hope that we'll
Is it?
cover what's going on. But even aside from any manipulation of data, when you have 911 wait times that are so long, a lot of crime doesn't even get reported. And we heard this all the time. People would say, well, my home's being robbed. I'm not even going to call the police because it's going to be 45 minutes before they show up. And that's
What? Hold on. The average response time in 2020, this is the data, the closest data I can find, is 8.9 minutes. They do not catalog wait times. In Washington Post report detailed, this is 2023, reported a case where a teenager waited over 20 minutes for a paramedic to arrive, highlighting a systematic problem with 911, not police. Police are there faster, paramedics took longer, apparently, in this particular case. And I don't know what the rule was as far as how that even turned out. There's a lot of moving parts. Yeah, long, heartbreaking wait for a reliable 911. That was the Washington Post. Heartbreaking call from a teenage girl and other delayed emergency responses have moved to the city to take action. Okay, so they took action in 2023 about this. DC FEMS has now implemented response time mapping. That would be this. Hold on one second. Yeah, well, in this particular instance, if I may, let's bring this up. First response percentage of response in 5 minutes or less. 0 to 50% in the red areas will be, which is the vast majority, will get 5 minutes or less. Or is it green? Okay, so red, over 50%, you'll take you more than 5 minutes. Most of the city, 50 to 90% of them of these required take 9%. It's hard to read this. How do they want? ALS engine company, okay. Fire medic, police, and medical units. So that's yellow going to stuff. Okay, so that's the areas. Okay, so police and fire and all that kind of stuff are in the yellow category, and green. Fire response area, this kind of stuff. But most of them are 8.9 minutes in general, and then there are rare exceptions, maybe around the wooded areas or where people are calling from. You'll get a 20-minute call time. I don't see anything about 45 minutes.
not an indictment of the beat cop, by the way. They're so overwhelmed by how much violent crime there is that they're unable to actually bring public safety to these communities. So what we're doing is just changing the balance a little bit. We're putting more good guys on the streets and we're taking more bad guys off the streets. And we think that's the sort of thing that's going to bring public safety back to D.C. Again, it's already working in a very big way.
Now, Anji.
No. No, you cannot do a micro or a macro study in 9 days and say anything like 35%. You just moved it to another district.
Ukraine, your February meeting with Zelensky and the president, that was quite something to behold.
It was good
how
TV.
did you all break the ice?
It was not good TV. You were yelling at a man whose people had been systematically raped and murdered because you wanted him to, like, thank Trump, you fucking lapdog.
This time. Take us into the room, because we're all dying to know that.
Well, I think when President Zelensky walked into the Oval Office, I was chatting with him, with the president, with some of the senior Ukrainian delegation. I said, Mr. President, so long as you behave, I won't say anything. And he just chuckled a little bit, and it was a good little icebreaker. I mean, well,
yes, I'm sure the ice was broken.
president's trying to do, meaning our president is trying to do, is bring a 3.5-year, very brutal conflict to a stop. It's killed
Yeah, he can't.
way too many Ukrainians, way too many Russians.
Sorry, how many would be the proper amount for you? If this is way too many, and it's a lot, at what point were you like, that's a cool number?
completely transformed the economy of Europe and of big parts of Asia.
Yeah, war will do that.
We just got to get back to peace. And I really do think you heard.
Oh, you mean you want us to go back to Afghanistan, I guess?
Vladimir Putin say this, that if Donald Trump had been president in 2022,
Bullshit.
this war would have never started. And now the
Yes, he also said he's never killed anybody. So, take that with a grain of salt.
president is really spending a lot of time, a lot of effort to stop Joe Biden's war, because I think it is Joe
Biden's war.
Biden's war. Without him being weak and provocative, I don't think that
If he hadn't made Ukraine wear that short skirt and go sashaying down the boulevard with him, Russia wouldn't have invaded.
would have invaded Ukraine, and now we have a situation where a president is trying to be strong and bold and trying to bring this thing to a close.
Now, take a second.
Strong and bold? Like how? Was it a strong, bold reach around? Did he give a strong, bold, rusty trombone to Putin in the back of the beast?
The room when the president said, I'm going to call Putin now. And you got all the Western leaders, they've all come to Washington. Now, what was their facial expression at that point? Did they anticipate that this was going to happen? Because it was, 8 hours ahead, Moscow time?
Yeah, it was like 1 a.m.
Well, it's not odd, but a rapist would call a guy who sends rape squads into a country. You know what I mean? You kind of expect it, I suppose. And like, here we go again. You're just going to walk into a room with this guy. He's going to call another, murderous dictator. It's a day that ends in Y.
Moscow time, and they had no anticipation. So we're actually in the East Wing of the White House, and the president says, we've had a pretty good meeting. I'm going to go call Vladimir Putin and see what he says about it. And everybody
Get new marching orders.
oh, you're going to call him next week? And he's like, no, what time is it in Moscow? Let's call him right now. And I think one of the things I've realized about President Trump's leadership is he cuts through the BS of some of these diplomatic protocols and just says, I'm going to get things done. If I want to talk to somebody, I'm going to talk to somebody.
Right. Presidents have always been doing that. He's not cutting through the BS. This isn't new. He's just wasting everybody's fucking time. It's who he talks to and the fact that he's not going to get what he's asking for because there's no reason for that person to give it to him. Vladimir Putin is not going to fucking give up Crimea or any element of the Donbass, even the areas he hasn't seized yet. And he's not going to give up his dream of taking over Ukraine, period, end of fucking story. And he's not going to accept U.S. or European troops in Ukraine with a tacit Article 5 protection level. He just bombed an American company in the Donbass. Dumbass.
You had a lot of the Europeans who were saying, no, there needs to be proper, vetting, and the teams have to prepare the phone call and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, because this isn't their first rodeo. They've seen this before. Hold on. What do you think Trump's going to do in response to this? By the way, hi, maggots. I'm sure we have some maggots in the chat today. Welcome. Hi, how are you? You do realize this, right? You do realize that an American company with American employees, apparently, and American goods and services being shuffled through there, what have you, were bombed by the Russians today in Ukraine. Remember that whole thing where we're going to have this mineral deal? This is your prequel, buddy. This is what's going to happen when we have when we've got American companies getting rare earth minerals out of Ukraine. Any response from Trump today? I don't even know that he's even said anything.
The president was like, no. I want to talk to the guy. I'm going to talk to the guy. And I think that kind
I need to talk to the guy because, it's, otherwise I can't clock out for the day.
of no holds barred, no BS diplomacy is part of the reason why we've made the progress
All BS.
we have. And we've made a lot of progress, Laura. Who knows what's going to happen? The president tells me this all the time. You can never say with certainty what the outcome in this situation is going to be. But we now have the Russians talking to the Ukrainians. They're talking
No, you don't.
details about what would be necessary on each side to stop the fighting and stop the killing. We've made more progress in
Yeah, we've had those details since before the shit started.
3 months than the
And I gotta say, the Ukrainian one is the easiest. Get the fuck out.
we had made in 3 years in stopping this conflict. And I think it's because sometimes you just need a president who will pick up the phone and call somebody.
When Vladimir Putin meets with Volodymyr Zelensky, can we assume that all the big details will have been discussed and generally agreed upon, namely the security agreement and land swap?
It's a good
question, and one that he doesn't know the answer to because he doesn't give a fuck.
question. I think that if you go through the bureaucratic process, then the answer is yes. But I think the president's preference and my preference would be, let's have them meet regardless. You don't have to figure out every issue. And sometimes leaders sitting down face to face can break the logjam that their teams don't necessarily have.
Okay. He thinks Trump is creating a there's this story allegedly of during the Cold War, Ronald Reagan and Gorbachev, I believe it was, talking, or one of his predecessors, I forget. But anyways, sitting across the table from each other during negotiations about whatever. And at one point, the whole thing came down to like, look, everybody shut up. Let's start over. My name's Ron. And that was the story where they shook hands and then they became people talking about these things and humans, and Reagan humanized the moment and helped lead to Glasnost and all these things. That's the story that's going around. Whether it's true or not is for the ages and the historians. But he thinks that this is what's happening, that Trump's going to do something like this, that every phone call to Vladimir Putin is that Reagan humanizing moment, instead of him basically excusing every violent, horrible act by Vladimir Putin every time he picks up the fucking phone.
Ability to do. There really are two big questions lingering out there. And in some ways it's very simple, but in some ways it's very complicated.
In some ways it's very simple, and in some ways it's very complicated. There are some sentences that are just designed by God and nature to anger me as a Libra.
One is Ukraine wants to know that it's not going to get invaded again by Russia. It wants to know that it's got territorial integrity long into the future. The Russians want certain pieces of territory, most of which they've occupied, but some of which they haven't. So that is really where the meat.
Most of which they've occupied, some of which they haven't. As in, the rest of Ukraine. Fuck this dude. The simple part is the Ukrainians just don't want to be attacked in the first place. That's fairly simple. There's a lot of complicated issues once it's happened. And the Russians want to keep land they haven't gotten in battle yet, so they're going to keep fighting, I guess, to get it, all during the negotiations. So not only is it not a ceasefire, but there's an impetus for them to be more violent.
The negotiation is the Ukrainians want security guarantees. The Russians want a certain amount of territory. Again, we finally got the details.
A certain amount? And that's it? Then once they grab that, they're done forever. Not just from Ukraine, from everywhere else. Leave the rest of Georgia alone. Dagestan, Kazakhstan. They're just going to leave those areas alone, they promise? So they pinky promise? Jesus.
We're working on them, but we haven't figured everything out. And I don't think that we should force, we shouldn't say that they can't sit down until you've figured out every little detail. Sometimes them sitting down is what facilitates figuring out.
it's just fucking childish. This is magical thinking. That's what this is. That you think that Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky sitting across from each other, they're gonna go, you know what? I looked into his eyes, I saw his soul, and I knew he was a good man.
Those details.
You have been so strong on the idea of...
By the way, this is what Chamberlain would have sounded like if he was a couch fucker.
Europe paying for Europe's defense.
Sure.
And I think a lot of Americans don't understand that the EU GDP last year was about $19.18 trillion, if I'm right,
Yep.
give or take. And the UK's was about $2.9 trillion.
Sure.
Ours is $29.8 trillion, right?
You know,
So
you know the numbers better than I do. You used to be Treasury Secretary.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Scott, I got your job. No, but so this is a lot of money. Europe has the money to defend itself. So the security agreement, my question to you is...
Hey, asshole. What do you think that is? You think that's evenly distributed through all of the European countries? They are separate countries. The EU exists, but it's not like the United States. This is so fucking dumb.
Why should America carry the lion's share of the burden from now until Lord knows when for Europe when Europe has the money to defend itself?
Well, I don't think we should carry the burden here. I think that we should be helpful if it's necessary to stop the war and to stop the killing. But I think that we should expect, and the president certainly expects, Europe to play the leading role here. And what he said very clearly is, look, the United States is open to having the conversation, but we're not going to make commitments until we figure out what's going to be necessary to stop the war in the first place. And I think that
that's leadership. Thanks, bro. Excellent. Hey, everybody. That's as good as we're going to get. How about we all wrap it up and take an early lunch, and then we'll just hit it hard on Monday. I know tomorrow's Friday. Let's just take the weekend and just have a fuck it. You know what I mean? Like a 3-day fuck it. All right.
you know, the president is very good. He never takes anything off the table. He never puts anything fully on the table because
he never commits to anything. He lets other people make all the decisions and then claims they were his in the first place. He loves to take credit for shit that just happened naturally or was the effort of other people. He thinks he should be a war hero even though he dodged the fucking draft.
Doesn't want to give away his leverage, and this is the private conversation.
He doesn't have leverage. He doesn't. The United States has leverage. He is the presiding administrator of our constitutional system of government. He's not the king. It ain't his. None of it is his. It's all ours.
We're all going to have about what's necessary to stop the war. But no matter what happens, no matter what form this takes, the Europeans are going to have to take the lion's share of the burden. It's their continent, it's their security, and the president's been very clear they're going to have to step up here.
What's it like meeting Putin? Just what was he like, just one-on-one?
So I've actually never met Putin. The president did that meeting. I've talked to him on the phone a number of times.
That's weird. Really? Where? From Rupert Murdoch's house in Montana?
You know, it's interesting. He's more soft-spoken than you would necessarily expect. You know, the American media has a particular image of him. He's...
What? The American media? Like, the American media portrays him as, like, shouting a lot or loud? He talks like a fucking spy. Of course he's soft-spoken, you dumb motherfucker. Like, the dude is fucking shrugging with every word he says.
Soft-spoken in a certain way. He's very deliberate. He's very careful. And
yeah, and obviously he has the upper hand in this situation because of that care and deliberation, something that Trump is just fucking incapable of.
I think fundamentally he's a person who looks out for the interests as he sees it of Russia. And I think
the interests as he sees it of Russia. Jesus.
Reasons he respects the president of the United States is because he knows the president looks out for the interests of the American people. And while they all...
Sorry, so you think he respects Trump? Why? Because he calls him in the morning? Largely to just laugh at him and hang up?
Disagree about issues, and obviously the president has been very critical of Vladimir Putin. The president's also...
No, he hasn't. No, he is not. He just said, I don't like it. That's not a criticism. That's putting it on yourself. He's gone crazy. That's not a criticism either. That's saying this is out of character for him, which it fucking isn't.
To work with anybody if he thinks it's going to accomplish an important goal for America. And we all agree an important goal is to stop the killing.
Anybody? Anybody.
Let's move to the economy because that is still the number one issue in the United States for most voters.
Sure.
Why? I mean, I think isn't it better? Like, we got the tariffs, money's pouring in, prices have cratered, everything's basically free now. Jesus Christ, the eggs, forget it.
The Democrats seem to be banking on an economic downturn, just like they seem to be banking on chaos in the streets against the National Guard.
Sure.
No, I don't think. I think the National Guard in the streets is the thing that they're drawing attention to. I don't know if it was part of their strategy, if it became a good strategy for the Democrats, it would probably be a good reason for the Republican president, in theory, to pull those people off the street. Yes.
How do you see the economy in the next 6 months as we're seeing?
Okay, everybody, either put on your thinking cap or your tinfoil. This is going to be good. This is finally we're getting some numbers. Give it to us, couch fucker.
Continuing uncertainty regarding interest rates and Jerome Powell.
Well, unfortunately, you have the Democrats. I think they really are betting against the United States. We're betting on the United States and the American people. There are a lot of good things happening in the economy. You have a lot of new investment coming in part because of the tariffs. People are trying to avoid the tariffs by building in the United States, which is their whole point, Laura, and why the president has been right about this issue from
Nope.
the beginning. You see blue,
Which will drive prices up. Period. End of story. Either the price will go up because of the tariffs, or the cost of doing it in the United States will raise the price. For the consumer, it's a fucking wash.
wages rising at their fastest rate in 50, 60 years. You see inflation cooling off, though there's still a lot of work to do there.
Oh, okay. Okay, guys. Sorry, it's cooling off. Sorry, inflation is cooling. Is it? Okay, inflation. It's cooling. CPI inflation for reasons Trump tariffs have caused inflation because they are not in place yet. Majority of inflation is a greater risk. There you go. So the entire Federal Reserve Board saw inflation as a greater risk. Okay. Most Federal Reserve officials highlighted the risk of inflation as outweighing concerns over the labor market at their meeting last month as tariffs fueled a growing divide within the central bank's rate setting committee. A majority of the 18 policymakers in attendance judged the upside risk to inflation as the greater of these two risks. Do we have, is there U.S. growth slows as inflation holds above the Fed's goal? So growth, clank, and then here's where they're at 2.79 to 2.8 on top of everything else. All right, here we go.
So I feel very good about where the economy is. You can never predict the future, but I think what people all over the world recognize is
you can't predict the future. He's right. But you can point out that in the past, the fall in the PC, the price core index, the inflation, year over year. I'm fairly certain May of 2024, Biden was president. Yes? Is my math okay? Somebody want to check me on that? That while it went up during his presidency, largely due to supply shock caused by COVID, it went down over that period consistently. Growth was hashy and leveling out, but that was why the interest rate was all over the place. Change in non-farm payrolls goes up and down. That's seasonal, but the overall part of it, there we go. And here we are in December. It's that high, and then it's basically right after Trump wins, they start firing people because of tariffs, because of the fear of tariffs.
it's a time to build in the United States of America. If you want to build a car, you want to build a car manufacturer.
You want to build a car, manufacture it in the United States, it will cost you more than just buying one from Japan.
Facility, if you want to build a next generation technology facility, if you want to build houses, whatever you want to do, we are the place to do
How
business.
about rare earths and magnets, which is what we're dependent on with China, which gives them an enormous amount of leverage over us.
And that's something the president has really directed the entire team to fix that issue, because whether it's...
Oh, yeah, they're going to fix it. Okay, cool. Tell us, he's going to say whether it's rare earths or lithium or something like that, but tell us how you're going to fix it. If you put the whole team on it, he's got to know the points, right?
Earth magnets or pharmaceuticals, he wants the United States to depend on Americans. We should...
Okay. What if those things don't actually exist inside the country and must be imported?
Not be in a situation where foreign adversaries or competitors have control over critical parts of our economy. Think about this, Laura. God forbid.
No, she knows the problem. She explained that in her question. What she was asking you for was the solution. This is not a campaign speech about what could possibly happen and, oh my God, if we don't do something about it, if I don't get elected, nothing will be done about this. You're in office. What are you doing?
Americans are in some sort of conflict, and we can't get antibiotics because we're in a conflict against a country that makes the antibiotics.
We buy them from someplace else. We only get 90% of our antibiotics from China because that's the cheapest source. We can also buy them from Europe. We can also buy them from Canada. We can also buy them from the Middle East. We can also buy them from India. We buy these things. We're reliant on China for 90% of these things because of the cost, not because of the availability.
You don't have economic freedom and you don't have real prosperity unless you make your own stuff. That's why the President of the United States is making it so much easier to build things and make things in America.
Now, I know.
How do you make rare earth minerals in America? Go. Again, thank God, maggots, you must be very proud that you don't have to deal with a regular politician giving a political answer or talking past the issue or just throwing in some campaign rhetoric to spackle past the point that he has no answer. None. What the fuck was that? On the merits, on Earth One, in politics. This is the Vice President of the United States, asked, by the way, by a friendly, ball-gargling journalist that's totally on the team, that has you on fucking speed dial. You can call each other at odd hours to give scoops and info or get your questions answered. This is not a hostile 60 Minutes interview. This is not a fucking, you haven't wandered into Chris Hansen's fucking rec room. She wants you to succeed in this interview. She is helping you. She is literally, she's carrying half the fucking water for you. And that was the answer. God forbid we don't have these things when we need these things. What are you doing to make these things here? How are we going to get these things if we only get them from that one place? Well, we're just going to have to, this president really wants us to make things here. Okay. So we're going to set up a rare earth mineral factory. What are we using? Alchemy?
I love talking about politics because you're going to say, well, we can't look forward to 2028. I understand that.
I'm sick of politics,
But
Laura.
Democrats are still doing their 2024 autopsy.
Yes.
Okay. And part of their
No, we're not.
autopsy is that going forward, they need to kind of be more like Trump in tone, tougher, have nicknames. Newsom's given you a nickname, which I don't even understand, called Just Dance Vance. So I guess, what's your favorite dance?
Oh, it's because of this song. It's because of your theme song. This one.
Couch humping, jumping, feel the beat, take it higher, can't retreat.
Love seat. You and me, buddy.
Dance music. I mean, it's the dumbest nickname. But how lost are the Democrats right now? And you can answer the dance question.
I mean, look, the autopsy for the Democrats, some free political advice from the President of the United States is
Don't help them too much.
Stop sounding like crazy people. That really is all it is. I mean, this idea that Gavin Newsom is somehow going to mimic Donald Trump's style.
He's not mimicking it. He's mocking it.
I think that ignores the fundamental genius of President Trump's political success, which is that he's authentic. He just is who he is. You've got
Yeah, which is great, I guess, if you're a member of a cult, or you are one of those people who shows up to see Barry Manilow play every single night, which, you know, is worth it. I just want to say, but where you just stand there like, do the VSM. If you're one of those folks, he's so authentic. He does exactly the same thing all the time.
yourself. You've actually got to talk to people honestly about the issues. I don't think it's that complicated. Don't be a crazy person.
Great. Good luck.
Be authentic. If the Democrats did that, they'd do a hell.
I agree. You're being authentically evasive, stupid, and full of shit right now. I don't think you're making this up. I don't think this is a show, man. I think you are actively showing us who you really are.
Better. But the thing is, the Democrats really can't help themselves. If you look at the transgender issue, they're still talking about letting men play in women's sports. If you look at the crime issue, they're calling Donald Trump a fascist for taking action that in 9 days has dropped armed robbery by 55%.
Armed robbery by 55% over the 9 days previous. Yeah, we'll see. I love statistics in a 9-day window.
Part of sounding.
What's the source? Hold on. Maybe let's look it up. Let's see. DC. Let's see. DC crime down by 35%. That was the initial number, right? That he gave. In 9 days. 9 days. I think there's a possibility crime has come down, but the department is reporting that 2024 crime went. Okay. Sorry. Crime went down. Union official says officer street level experience contradicted MPD's claim of 60% decrease in crime in 2023. But he's saying it went down 24%. No, okay. Let's see. Speaking of, okay, there's a potentially a drop from where we were. Okay, this is the. There's a potentially a drop from where we were in 2023. I think there's a possibility that crime has come down, but the department is reporting that in 2024, crime went down 35%, violent crime, and another 25% through August of this year. That is preposterous to suggest that cumulatively, we've seen 60+ % drops in violent crime from where we were in 23 because we're out on the street. We know the calls we're responding to. In 2023, they experienced a surge in violent crime not seen in 2 decades, while some national data included a Council on Criminal Justice Order indicates crime is down in major cities across the United States. Pemberton remains skeptical that the local data aligns with daily experience on patrol. The union's concerns come in an ongoing internal investigation into MPD's 3rd District Commander Michael Pulliam, who was placed on paid administrative leave in May. He's accused of altering crime classifications to make statistics appear more favorable. Pulliam has denied the allegations. That was, by the way, that was May of this year. I forget who was president in May of this year, but we'll look at it later. When asked about the investigation, he said on August 11th that many irregularities in reporting will be addressed. Mayor Bowser also broke into 500. Okay. MPD reports that 552 fewer victims of violent crime have been recorded so far in 2025 compared to the same period in 2024, with decreases reported across all 7 police districts. Okay, so no, there's the 35% drop or a 30% drop in violent crime year over year from 23 to 24. Let's see, violent crime imposed the lowest level in 30 years. It's the 5,000 incidents in 2023. When was this? This is 8 months ago. Yeah, here you go. Let's see this. This is December 20th, 2024. Violent crime and
English.
Who don't have basic English competency.
And they're killing Americans.
Hold on. So that's the illegal driver thing. They're giving like vast majority of this. So again, one incident paints everybody. But let's see. Commercial driver's license. California. North Adapata. illegal immigrant. That'll be how to bring the story up. This is the Commonwealth, state, and federal regulators. While the California Law Assembly Bill 60 allows undocumented individuals to obtain a standard non-commercial driver's license with proof of identity and residency, according to California DMV in California, obtaining a CDL presents a different challenge. Federal regulations under there mandate verification of legal status for CDL insurance. However, some argue that a potential loophole may exist where a state might issue a CDL to someone who is simply authorized to work in the United States. That person is not illegal or undocumented. That means if they're authorized to work in the United States, they have a green card or they have a work visa. And the story, obviously, is criminal, illegal alien, recklessly driving an 18-wheeler. This is the story that they were talking about. Kills 3 in Florida. Oh. What is he? Is the idea that he got his license in California? The Department of Homeland Security and the U.S. Immigration Enforcement lodged an arrest obtainer for criminal illegal alien Harjinder Singh, following his arrest for 3 counts of vehicular homicide. According to the Department, he was attempted to make an illegal U-turn through an official use-only access point to St. Lucie County by blocking all lanes of the highway with his truck. Singh caused a brutal wreck, instantly killing 3 innocent people and leaving Florida families shattered. Video obtained from breaking 911 inside the tractor trailer shows the exact moment Singh decided to break U.S. highway laws. As he turned his truck into traffic, his face shows no shock or remorse from his actions or the lives he destroyed. The innocent people were killed in Florida because Gavin Newsom's California Department of Motor Vehicles issued an illegal alien a commercial driver's license. This state governance is asinine. Okay, how many more innocent people must die before Gavin Newsom stops playing games with the safety of the American public? We pray for the victims. Singh obtained a commercial driver's license in California despite having no legal right to be in the United States. Gavin Newsom put American ICE issued an immigration detainer on after Singh was arrested to ensure he remains in custody. Okay, so they overturned. What do you want to bet? They overturned his asylum status, and that's why he didn't qualify anymore. So like he was given it while he had a work permit. And then they took his work permit away when Trump came in, and that made him automatically illegal. Let's see. Let's see. Where is he? I'm going to. I just have to dig into these things. Harjinder Singh. Okay. Whoops. Okay. Stockton man charged in fatal Florida crash. So on YouTube he's called Stockton Man. Saying boards an airplane is extradited to Florida. So he was in California when he got semi-truck driver and deadly illegal U-turn crash in Florida. Turnpike appears in court. Indian trucker sergeant killed 3, fails English road tests. That's in a magazine. That's from the Times of India. Let's see. Scared to go back to... Okay. This is Times of India says he's scared to go back to India. He's out on bond, or he was. Allowed to what the fuck? Hold on, I have to put this in the show the reader. Okay. This is the guy they're talking about. Now, what he wants you to think though is that this is how like all California does is hand out random commercial driver's licenses to people who can't speak English and who, and lets them run around running over people. And this, again, happened in Florida, but whatever. Okay. Allowed to stay in the U.S. Okay. After an Indian trucker killed 3 in a wrong turn with his semi-truck in Florida. He was arrested in 2018 when he was processed for expedited removal, but he claimed at the time he was scared to return to India. Confirmed by citizens, and he was released on a $5,000 immigrant. Oh, motherfucker. Who was president in 2018? Who was president in 2018, ladies and gentlemen? So this guy was effectively granted asylum in 2018. He was processed for expedited removal during the Trump administration, claimed at the time he was scared to return to India. His fear was affirmed by U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and he was released on a $5,000 immigration bond. Singh was arrested at U.S. Marshals of California on Saturday For fuck's sake, like, get out of here. God damn it. Like, how did you not... honestly, how many of you saw that coming? That they're presenting this as like, California's just fucking willy-nilly doing whatever. And then this guy got his asylum claim verified in 2018. It's just so fucking on the nose. Now, the other question is, and this is an honest question. Do you think, oh my God, the questions are honest except when I'm being an asshole. I think this asshole knows that that this guy was granted effectively asylum during the first Trump administration, when his predecessor Mike Pence was walking around with his head up Trump's ass daily, staring at him like an extra on my old show. Do you think he and Laura Ingraham know that this guy was released on an immigration bond and not marked for deportation, which meant he was allowed to get a work permit? He was legally in the country because he was bonded to stay here because his asylum case was being adjudicated, which means he is not undocumented. It means he is a documented immigrant. He might be on a probationary level. He might be limited in that. He might be sent home after they adjudicate his case. But while he's here, you want him on welfare or you want him working? And this guy isn't, apparently, their other big thing is these immigrants, they just draw on the public tit. They come over here, Democrats fly them in, they put them on welfare, give them Cadillacs and cell phones, and then tell them they can vote, right? And none of them work and we all have to pay for them, right? And they all live in luxury hotels. And then this guy gets an asylum claim during the Trump administration, gets the ability to stay here and work during the Trump administration, gets a job as a commercial truck driver, has a car accident and kills some people, which happens and is terrible, and that's California's fucking fault. What an asshole.
It matters a whole lot because if you're going to read a road sign, Laura, you might as well, or you need to actually read the language the road sign is written in. And of course, this illegal alien in California killed 3 innocent people because he was reckless, he was dangerous, he shouldn't have been in the country. But now we come to find out he can't even read in the language the road signs are written in. So this is...
Yeah, but he obviously made it. That wasn't even a road sign problem, you fucking moron. He just tried to U-turn in the middle of the road. He's a dumbass. I'm guessing along the way, he stopped at a few red lights and stop signs. He yielded, perhaps even at an on-ramp or an off-ramp. What do you think the fucking chances are that during his trip allegedly from California or wherever he started this truck that he was particularly driving to Florida or around Florida a bunch until this happened? What do you think, that was his first day on the fucking job? He failed an English proficiency exam. That doesn't mean he can't read a fucking stop sign.
And it goes to the Democrats' basic problem, which is...
No, it doesn't. This guy was given asylum and immigration probation during your boss's last term.
They're just too crazy. Imagine if you had a Democratic Party that was focused on enhancing the prosperity and the safety of American citizens rather than bringing in millions of low-wage illegal immigrants, giving them the right to vote, and allowing them...
Yeah, something that has never happened. Again, think about that sentence for a minute. That's the great replacement theory. He went from fucking zero to great replacement theory instantly. We're bringing in these illegals and we're going to let them and make them vote. That did not happen. It didn't. Not only can this motherfucker not round up millions of illegals because they don't fucking exist. Feel free to at me. There are not 25 million more illegals in the country than there were in 2020. There are not. There are fewer. By every count that I've seen, there are fewer illegal immigrants in this country now than there was before COVID. Because of death and return. People got the fuck out. And if there's going to be a pandemic and the world's going to end, I'm going home. Jesus Christ. If there was 35 million fucking people out there, if you said they're handing out these trucker licenses, you'd have more than one case. These guys are running into people. This is the 9th one this month, right? That would be the story. If the murder rate amongst them was this fucking high, you wouldn't have the Lake and Riley Act. It would have to have 15 names on it. It'd look like the fucking Vietnam Memorial Wall. Your numbers are bullshit.
Effectively make it harder for Americans to live a good life. That's all.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. This whole thing you made up in your fucking head, that again is fucking fiction, is somehow making my life harder. How? Because construction crews, cleaning crews, hospitality workers, farm workers who come here on, basically working under the table on this kind of like shadow visa system, keep prices and services costs lower and more available to the average American. Is that how? Are they putting all the American roofers out of fucking business?
It's about. They care more about low-wage foreigners than they do about their own people. That is the fundamental craziness at the heart of the Democratic Party. And until they change that...
Yeah, until we change the thing you made up in your fucking head, which is a lie. It's fucking nonsense. It's garbage. Like, this isn't even one of those things where, like, well, shit, there's a difference of opinion about these things. This is just fucking cartoonishly false. The essence of the Democratic Party is one person, one vote. That every American citizen over the age of 18 who is not currently serving a felony prison sentence or hasn't been released on early release for, and finished serving their time can vote to pick their leaders. That's it. That's the essence of the Democratic Party. Everything else is policy to try and make the country better. That's where there are no partisan issues. There are only partisan solutions, and not all solutions are partisan. Some problems only have two practical solutions, and neither side gets to lay claim to them. That's how most genuine problems work. Sorry, I as a Democrat, I'm not on the hook for whatever fictional attitude you have about our motivation.
Gavin Newsom can mimic Donald Trump all that he wants to.
He's not. He's not mimicking him. He's making fun of him because Trump is a fucking clown.
Still going to lose unless they get better policies that actually serve the American people.
Oh, you mean like the ones you borrowed, like the child tax credit and those kind of things that they put in the BBB that made all the conservative, like the hyper-conservative Republicans mad, but are actually Democratic policy positions? That kind of shit. How's that shutting down the Department of Education thing going? So USAID is just in the State Department building, and basically 80% of it's still there. So you just made the 20% changes that most presidents make about it, but you made a big stink so you could lie to your own supporters. That's authentic. That's just him talking real.
Given the fact that they're endangering the lives and killing American citizens, as we saw with that horrific crash in Florida.
Literally killing American citizens.
Literally killing
with their
Americans.
immigration
I mean,
policies.
these are not made up statistics. These just happen.
Sorry, literally killing their American citizens with their immigration policies. This motherfucker was granted asylum status during the Trump administration. He was set for expedited removal, and the Trump administration allowed him to stay in 2018. we can have an argument about the differences between both parties' attitude towards immigrants and Trump wanting, like, yeah, if you own a farm, you could tell the good ones from the bad ones. If you have a business, if you're hiring workers, you should be able to bring them in, whatever, you're responsible for them. But, if they disappear in the desert, and the cops don't find them, how can they really pin the crime on you? You have that argument. But this ain't that. This guy got to stay on a $5,000 immigration bond during the last Trump administration. During the last Trump administration, the driver that killed the 3 people on the Florida Turnpike was allowed to stay in the country and have his asylum case adjudicated and punt his fucking date out into the future because you guys won't add judges because you don't want to tighten the system. You just want it to go away, but it can't. And you've already granted this guy. So he's got a work permit because it's that or put him on welfare. And since you guys think they're all on welfare and you want to deny them that, work is the only other option. So it is directly the response, it is actually the policies of JD Vance, Donald Trump, Mike Pence, Laura, that put this guy on the road. Because, honest to God, if you're saying Democrat policies would do this, according to you, Democrat policies are, let's just pay this fucker to stay home. Right? If we're the ones that don't want work requirements, even though we're the ones that give out work visas, and so you can't have it both ways. But let's just say that what Democrats want to do is bring these people in, put them on the public tit, and give them the right to vote, right? That's the story. Then, based on that standard, we wouldn't want this guy on the road at all. He'd just sit home fucking eating popcorn waiting for his asylum case to be adjudicated, and then he can get a job once he's allowed to stay in the country under asylum. But you guys went, I don't want this guy taking my tax dollars. Get him out on the road.
I mean, federal highway funds, that's leverage that the federal government has over the states that refuse to do the basics.
That's exactly
Would you
right.
consider advising that DOT and the administration pull back on federal highway funds for these states?
So I don't want to get ahead of any administration
He has no fucking idea what you just said.
announcements, but we are looking at a whole host of points of leverage we can exercise over California and other states to make sure they comply with the law.
They did. They are.
Cities are killing people because you allow these violent criminals to set up shop in your cities. Obviously, you saw this case with the person who murdered.
You allow these people to set up shop in your cities. Just listen to all the loaded words in this. Not they live amongst the immigrant community and they get dug in like a fucking deer tick and it's hard to get them out and you're so concerned about the innocent ones, you don't go after the guilty ones, which is probably the biggest fault you could say of the entire thing, is that in protecting the greater community, you're willing to let some get a pass that are doing horrible things. That would be the idea. But they can't bring that up because they're doing the exact opposite. To get to a couple of the criminals, they're willing to wipe out the entire community.
People on the road, 3 people on the road because he couldn't even read the road signs. We have a lot of points of leverage here, but fundamentally.
No. He didn't he didn't kill those people because he misread the signs. He just turned and went in this U-turn. It didn't matter that it said for official use only or not. He didn't look. They slammed into him because he didn't give right away to the cars behind him. He did this turnaround without giving due reference, turn signal, slowing down, signaling, any of that stuff before pulling it. He just yanked a Yui and they smashed into the side of him. It didn't have anything. They didn't even have time to figure out what sign he was reading. It didn't matter.
I think the American people have to stand with us here, because when we go and tell the governor of California or the governor of New York that you have to stop putting the interests of illegal aliens over American citizens,
they aren't.
We need the American people to stand with us. And I think that they will. I think that they are. But
well, you're wrong, because we are not going to stand beside you while you beat a straw man and call yourself a dragon killer.
Definitely not going to let this slide, Laura. You can't.
Yeah, you are.
Do it. You've got to stop putting the interests of foreigners who don't have the right to be here over the interests of American citizens. That is the entire point and purpose of the Democratic Party. If you go back to the election of 2020.
No, it isn't. And again, this is the straw man. This is, by the way, this is active. I want to say that he's not just wrong here. This is the purpose of, I would say, he said it 4 or 5 times now. This is the purpose of this interview. Get away from Epstein, get away from the stuff that's dogging the Trump administration, tariffs, all that other stuff, and go back to what really got them elected, which is fear of brown people, fear of foreigners, fear of the other, paranoia about evildoers that want to come over the border and blow us up and all that kind of shit. That worked for them with a broad swath of people. That's what this is about. Get this back to pin the idea of immigration, because the 0 people at the border thing, even though, again, the cost of fentanyl hasn't gone down at all. So the idea that it was coming across the southern border is a complete fucking lie. And, you know, we've known that all along. It's what we were saying, but whatever. In the interim, this story that he needs to tell about Democrats is the purpose of this interview. This is a propaganda exercise. That's all this is about. This is coordinated around this issue. Laura is supposed to bring up the driver in Florida. They will answer it by saying, we're branding, the Lake and Riley thing worked, we think. And so we're going to also pin the death of these people in Florida on the roads on them as well. That's the purpose, for the record. So now that we've gotten to the essence of this, I'll come back to you guys. Hi, chat room. And the important thing, too, is that the details of what he was saying were complete bullshit. They were, quite frankly, a lie. But not an accidental lie.